give a word of wisdom to them young guys, them gangsters, them street soldiers that's out there in them trenches, that's putting in work. I just want to give a word of wisdom that there's nothing wrong with thinking smart. Because a lot of times, being in the concrete jungle and being about that life, you could have too much heart. And why I'm saying this is because back in the late 80s, in the early 90s, when I was a youngster, years before I got indicted, Mr. Larry Hoover, he told me when I was visiting him one time that you could have too much heart, and that right there, that word of wisdom right there, man, it took me long ways, being out there, in them streets. But years later, when I'm in prison, when I'm in Lewisburg, at the time they had turned it into a special management unit for the whole BOP, for the whole federal system, called the SMOOT, Special Management Unit. I mean, for the most dangerous, guys, the most violent, problematic, can't be managed, can't be broken. It was that type of environment, that type of place. But anyway, I had a young cellie from out of New York. I respected Shawty. He was a rider, and he's from a different tribe, but I let him in the cell. But anyway, when I first got there to Lewisburg, though, some of the good men pulled me up. My man Mac 11, Pistol Pete, co-defendant from money, sex, and murder. My guy from out of Oklahoma, Baby D, and my good man Kiko, from LA. They told me when I first got there, Bible, man, don't go to rec, because everybody go in the rec cage. They all got cuffs on, so you ain't got no way to get your cuff off first. And they be knocking guys' eyes out. They be stabbing guys. They be jumping guys. Them guys be on all type of craziness. And I paid attention, but they was on their way leaving out. They just gave me a word of wisdom, and from their experience. But anyway, later on, my cellie eventually come. I let him in. He from out of New York, young cat, be putting in that work, cold rider. But he also tell me too, Bible, I respect you. Man, I'll never try it, because, the special management unit, and man, guys was taking off on their cellies, stabbing their cellies, murdering their cellies, and they sleep, and they cuffs, everything. But he said, man, I'll never do anything. I respect you. But anyway, I didn't go to rec. And a lot of them, and remember, this is the baddest, toughest of the toughest. These are some of the most dangerous, vicious guys in the federal system from all gangs, all groups. So they say, man, that nigga ain't going to rec. Man, that nigga scared. Oh, I thought he was like that. Oh, man, that nigga, he a chump. But dudes say all that from all different groups, races, and everything. But my cellie, he went one day and he let his old head get in his ear. Come to find out, they've been plotting to get me out the cell. So one day he come back. My intuition from being from the streets said, man, something don't feel right. When he come in, I'm cuffed. I got my handcuffs on. He come in, he get his cuffs off first. I can see it in his eyes that he's gonna try something. And he looked and said, hey, man, you got to get out of here. And I knew then, man, hey, it can go any way. I already knew my life is in danger. So I bagged up. And, hey, trust me, I played it down. Hey, man, please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me. And back up to the wall. He looked like, oh, this nigga bitch. I knew he was a chump. From what his homies, big homies, and everybody been telling him. So now he think this what he see. But before we know it, I bring the cuffs around to the front. And he looked, and then reality hit. He rushed me. And we get to tussling. But the CO don't come in. We on our own. I'm defenseless. So he put my shirt over my head, but I'm fighting for my life. But when they use 2 tanks of gas, he panicked. And that was my vantage point, because I've been teamed many times. So I'm already an expert. How to stay focused under them type of situations. And he panicked. I get him. I bring him. I drag him to the back of the cell. I headbutt him, run his head into the wall, to the bed, kneeing him, doing choking him, everything. I'm surviving. He's screaming. The guy sent him off, asking him from next door, what's going on? You all right? What's happening? I thought, you got your cuffs off first. But he didn't know he dealing with somebody that was experienced and that's a thinker. But eventually, then the police, they never come in the cell. We on our own. I'm defenseless. Then they start shooting in the cell, pepper balls. I used him for a shield. They shot me up like 40 times. And then, eventually, they said, man, let him cuff up. I let him cuff up. And then they take us out and put us in, separate, showers. And then he tell me, man, I respect you. You don't respect me because you never tried that. But he's a street dude, easy to be influenced. But anyway, and believe me, when they thought, from that point, they thought, oh man, he a chump, oh he's scared, or man, see, I told you why he ain't coming to wreck. All them dudes, all that changed. And believe me, that was taken care of. You dig what I'm saying? But the thing is, if I'd have had too much heart, I'd have been a victim. Just like a lot of them guys that was there throughout the time I was there, that was notorious, that was vicious. Majority of them was victims. Majority of them became victims because they had too much heart. They didn't know how to think. See, that's the difference. And that's what I'm saying about even right now in the streets, man. It's always somebody that's badder than you, that's tougher than you, that's more violent than you, yeah, that's more dangerous than you, that's more diabolical, ruthless, all that, and ready to take your spot. And remember that everybody don't think like you think. So they not playing your rules, or they not playing your game. They doing it their way. See? And think about it. How many guys we know that's legends, and we can go years back, decades back, that was legends, notorious, the most feared. Look at the walls in the community, in the hoods. Where they at? You know how man. And they all was armed. Majority of them be armed when they get killed. See? And because in their minds, just like a fighter, after you win a couple of fights, he's a champion, whatever, he began to think in his mind that he can't be defeated, that he's invincible. That's human nature. But there's always somebody that's coming to take your title. There's always somebody up and coming and ready and hungrier and better techniques, all that coming to take your spot. It's just like the streets, man. See, a lot of times we begin to think that after we got a few notches, we put in some work, that we're unstoppable. No matter who you are, you're human. And you could be stopped. And just keep in mind that, man, there's nothing wrong. Your mind is the most powerful weapon, the most dangerous weapon. And remember, you only got one life. So, man, think before you act. Think before you act. Don't act, then think. See, he's like a dog, you know what I mean? Chase his tail. And you know how that end up. A lot of guys end up like dead dogs, man. So what I'm just saying is, man, stay focused. Always remember that, use your mind. Always remember that there's always somebody that's tougher than you, that's more violent than you, that's more dangerous than you, and they don't care. And you ain't the only one. And remember, you can have all the guns in the world, even on you, but it's all about who shoot first. And they've always been proven. So don't never think that because you have one that you can't be got. See? And that's and one thing about a wise man, a fool, a wise man, he learned from other mistakes. A fool learned from his own. So I'm just saying, man, this is word of wisdom to them young brothers out there, man. It's out there in them trenches, man. That's out there and use your head. Think, because you only got one life. And sometimes you make that mistake, that decision. The consequences. Remember, a man of thoughtless actions is always surprised by the consequences. And believe me, when you make that one fatal mistake, sometimes it can't be stopped. So remember, Use your head.